Hello, and welcome to another Tabletop Ramblings Middle-earth strategy battle game battle report. In a recent video, we asked the question whether Minas Tirith were just dwarves but not as good. Now, these two iconic forces are going to clash and answer that question once and for all. It's Aragorn's Minas Tirith versus Durin's Kingdom of Khazad-dum. Leading the forces of Minas Tirith to war is Aragorn, King Elessar, and he is mounted on his heavy armoured horse. He's accompanied by 4 knights with shield, and he also has 6 warriors of Minas Tirith with shield and 6 rangers with spear. Following his king to war is Ingold, and he is accompanied by 4 warriors of Minas Tirith with shield, backed up by 5 guards of the Fountain Court with shield. That is 550 points of Minas Tirith. Durin's 550 point army is Durin himself with 8 of the Khazad Guard with the Hearth Guard upgrade, making them burly. He also has 2 warriors with shield and 4 warriors with bow. Following him to battle is the King's Champion with his 2 heralds, and he has 4 warriors with bow and 6 warriors with shield. And that is 550 points of the Kingdom of Khazad-dum. This is the table for today's battle, and the scenario is capture and control. Deployment is anywhere up to the halfway mark, and as you can see, both forces are already deployed, with Durin and his band in the centre, and the King's Champion and his band out on the right flank, with Minas Tirith holding much further back. There are 5 objective markers. They're in this star shape here, with 1 in the centre and then 12 inches on the compass points. Each objective begins the game neutral and will turn to either side if they are in control of it at the end of a turn. Each objective marker is worth 2 points, and there's also 1 point for wounding or killing the enemy leader and 1 point for breaking the enemy, for a total, as always, of 12 victory points. Victory points are counted up at the end of the game, and this game ends on the roll of a 1 or 2 at the end of a turn in which one force started the turn broken. With the game already set up, we're ready to roll for first turn priority. We're going to assign good and evil, and we're going to say that Aragorn, King Elessar, is leading the forces of good, and that the dwarves will be the forces of evil. So Aragorn will be using green dice, and the dwarves will be using red dice. First turn priority is a 6 to the dwarves and a cocked dice to Minas Tirith, who get a 3. So first turn priority goes to Durin and the dwarves. End of turn 1 movement, and with priority, the dwarves have just advanced, making sure that their line is further forward than the objectives to give them an early advantage. Minas Tirith have charged in, although being careful to avoid Durin, keeping him out the fight as long as possible, with Ingold and Aragorn both getting into the fray. It's going to be quite a few combats, but first there will be some shooting. So we'll go into the shoot phase. In the centre, these 4 dwarven archers have moved half, so they're going to shoot over the fence and into the rangers. They have moved, so they're hitting on 5s, and that is a good volley, that. Getting over this little rickety fence is just a 4+. 1 gets over the fence. Will it kill a ranger on a 5? Yes. And a ranger goes down to some dwarven shooting. They are accurate bowmen. With the shooting done, we'll go into the combat phase, and Aragorn is going to be calling a heroic combat with his free point of might. He's got 4 attacks on the charge, and he wins. The dwarf did his absolute best on the 6 as well, but Aragorn's fight value takes the day, and he has won. So then rolling to wound, because he's got Anduril, it's only ever a 4, and he absolutely slaughters that Khazad guard. And then Aragorn is just going to potter forward and break that line. And as we're there, we'll carry on with that fighting with Aragorn against a single Khazad guard. And he's only got a 4 high. And there is the Herald there who has a banner. So having lost on the draw, the Khazad guard is going to re-roll. But it's only a 3. He's lost to Aragorn. And Aragorn, needing 4s to wound, has killed another Khazad guard. That is a good start for Minas Tirith, breaking through the dwarven line. We'll do this fight next. It's a 2-on-1. The dwarves really lacking spear supports here, and with the way that the terrain is set up, they're struggling to get their full numbers to bear at this early stage. We've got here then the 2-on-1. It goes to a draw. The dwarf is not going to re-roll, it's going to keep that. The forces of Minas Tirith do have a banner, which is Aragorn. He counts as a banner and he gets the 6, so the dwarf will re-roll, looking for a 6 to draw. No. The Aragorn banner has done the work there, needing 6s to wound. Definitely not. He backs away to make room, and he goes back, which also closes the gap and stops Aragorn from being able to break through. We'll then come to Ingold and Friend. We'll roll Ingold first, and we'll see if we need his friend. Ooh, we do. We'll roll for his friend, and the Aragorn banner, no. Ingold is not going to spend might there, and he's going to let it go up to the 50-50. Ingold is only fight 4. So 1, 2 or 3, it's evil. Oh, and it is. The dwarf wins. Ingold wishing he had spent the might there. That is not ideal, as the Khazad guard is barely 2-hand, so he needs a 6, but being 2-hand, it's down to 5. But that is a 4. That is not enough. And it is the Khazad guard who backs away because of the resolute fighter special rule from Ingold, meaning that enemies within 3 inches back away even if they win the fight. Helps him hold the shield wall. We have a 2-on-1 here. And oh dear, needing the Aragorn reroll to a 6, and that banner is probably too far, but it's worth measuring. No, he is too far there. So the Aragorn banner, another 6 off that. That is good. Good re-rolling there, but not enough to wound. We then have another 2-on-1. Can the Khazad guard cut through? No. Can Minas Tirith do some damage? Equally, no. We then have another 2-on-1. Khazad guard need to start winning fights. Oh, and they might do here. They will be in range of Aragorn's banner because it's 6 inches. It's not enough, so it's a draw. 1, 2 or 3, it's evil. And it is. So the Khazad guard here is pushing him back because they are outside of Resolute Fighter, which means without shield wall, he needs 5s down to 4s because he is strength 4 barely. So it's only 4s to wound the warrior. And he's got him on the 5. The Minas Tirith shield wall begins to buckle. We then have 2 on 1 again. Minas Tirith, oh, get the draw. The Rangers' fight value is helping them out here. But they lose on the draw. Pushing them back. They've got a bad formation here now. Again, it's only 4s. Oh, and that Burley coming in there. He is down. Minas Tirith have done some damage, but they have taken casualties as well. The centre definitely up for grabs. We'll come across, we just have this final fight. We have 1 on 1. The dwarf is going to shield. But it doesn't help him, there is a banner. There's the banner from the Herald, which again doesn't help. Not from the 6 from that knight. And he has a lance, which gives him +1 to wound. So his strength 3 on defense 7 should be 6s, but it's now 5s. Double strikes against a prone model, and that 6 has got the kill. Another dwarf goes down. That is the end of the combat phase. End of turn 1, and the lines have clashed, with both forces trading blows while they've stood firm. Several from both forces have fallen to the blows of the enemy. The objectives, we have all of the centre line objectives going into possession of the dwarves. Minas Tirith have claimed the back objective here, and the dwarves, with his short little legs, hasn't quite managed to get that back objective, but there's very little that will affect him and stop him from getting it next turn. So at the moment it is an early advantage to the dwarves. Let's roll for turn 2 priority. And it goes to Minas Tirith. The Mouth of Sauron interrupts this video with a message from his master. Please like, comment and subscribe. With turn 2 priority going to Minas Tirith, Durin is going to call a heroic move. He wants to try and control the flow of this battle, and Aragorn with his 3 point of might is going to counter. And on a 4, the roll-off goes to Minas Tirith. That is wasted might there from Durin. Another movement phase for turn 2, and now pretty much everything is in combat. This is going to be a quick and bloody game. After the heroic move here was won by Minas Tirith, everything charged in, with Aragorn and Ingold getting some more favourable fights. And then up here, it then, with the rest of Minas Tirith move, allowed the knight here to charge, and this knight to try and claim that objective. The dwarven response in the centre was to form a bit of a ring around Aragorn to stop him from heroic moving through those 2 dwarves and ploughing on further into the field. And over here, this very, very brave or very daft, depending on how you view it, knight charged into the King's Champion. He knows he's going to die, but it was to stop him from coming in and trying to work his way through the flank. It's unlikely that he would spend one of his 2 might, they're quite precious for the dwarves, on a heroic combat, and even if he does, there's nowhere really that he can go other than the movement that that knight has already robbed from him. The few dwarves that were unengaged, that haven't been compelled to join that fight, have just gone in against these few here. That's how the movement phase is looking. There are a couple of shots, so we'll go into the shoot phase, and we'll come in with these archers here. This one hasn't got a shot. Oh, in fact, no, he has. He's got a shot onto this knight who is hanging back, ready to charge through there. So he is going to fire. He's not moved, so he's hitting on 4s. but he misses. We then have this chap here shooting into that ranger. He misses as well. Oh, that is not good work there for the dwarves. Then this guy, again, onto that ranger. And he misses as well. That is poor dwarven shooting. Dearie me. Then this guy is going to have it in the way for him, and he's in combat. So that chap cannot shoot. The only other dwarf with a shot is this guy here, who's claiming the objective. He's going to spin round and take a shot into the rider, trying to claim the objective. And he misses as well. That is very, very poor shooting, and we'll go into the combat phase. Combat phase, and Aragorn is going to call a heroic combat. He's already used his 3 point of might, so this one will come from his store. But having a lot more might on the field than the dwarves, he's willing to expend it early to try and break through their lines. So we'll do that heroic combat first, with the dwarves saving their might. It's Aragorn's heroic combat, and he wins that on the 5. There is the banner, which is not enough. Not enough there to force Aragorn to spend some might. So wounding on 4s on the first guy, just a 1. Oh, in fact, these are double strikes, aren't they? So the first guy is dead, and then it is 6 dice on the other, and he is equally dead. Double strikes there, because he's mounted and charging, so he's killed them, and then he rides on to attack those 2 archers. And as we're here, we'll do that fight now. They're going to piercing strike, they're dead anyway. Ooh, they did their best there with a 6, but they can't compete with Aragorn's fight value. So only needing 4s regardless because of Anduril. They may well have gone down enough, but it doesn't really matter. So one of them is dead, and the other is dead as well. That is 2 more dead to Aragorn, steamrolling his way through the dwarven lines. That is good work there from Aragorn. We'll then do Ingold and Friend. Friend can be in the blue against a Khazad-dum. Oh, it's a draw, so the reroll for Aragorn, and that is enough to win the fight. Oh, but there is the banner there. He needs a 6 to get it. Oh, 5 is enough to draw the fight. We were very preemptive there. It's a draw, so 1, 2 or 3 evil. And it's a 1. The Khazad-dum takes a swing at Ingold and does a wound to Ingold. The Khazad-dum still backs away because of Resolute Fighter, but that is a wound off. In fact, he's going to back away this way to allow the banner to a little bit more safety. That is very good work there from the Khazad-dum. Just going to keep tweaking this just to make sure that when he backs away, he's not trapping Durin. That would be very daft. That was good work there from the Khazad-dum. So Durin against 2. Durin's got his 3 attacks. And there's a banner. Can he do it? Yes. On the 6. Absolutely smashes him to bits. Durin then backs away. Again, Resolute Fighter. But he is wounding on 4s because he's burly as well. And 2-handing, he absolutely cuts that guy apart. We'll then do another fight here, and this is a 2-on-1 in favour of Minas Tirith, who win. There is the banner. 2 a 6. Aragorn's banner is also a 6. Banners are incredible this game. We then roll off to see who is going to win, and it goes to the Khazad-dum. 4s to wound this guy because he can't get into shield wall. Oh, but it's a 3. Just a 3, and he backs away unharmed. So then another 2-on-1. Can the Khazad-dum win again? Not looking likely, but there is the banner, which is not enough. He's only going down on 6s though. And there is the 6. A Khazad-dum falls there. One of the Hearthguard. 13 points cut down in his prime. We then have another 2-on-1 here. And again he loses. And he is probably out of banner range. That really is stretching it. Yes, he is out. It's probably a little bit difficult to see on camera, but he's out by half a centimetre. So, I don't know why we're rolling them all. But either way, he loses and backs away. We then have a 2-on-1. And he loses as well. Again, it's 6s. Nothing there. So he backs away, and he is going to back away, forcing his friend across to hold that line. The centre for the dwarves has buckled under the weight of the warriors of Minas Tirith, but it is still holding around that objective. After fighting in the centre, we'll come across, we'll come to these fights here. So first off, we'll do this 1-on-1. They are both going to fight normally, and it goes to the dwarf, but there is the Aragorn banner. No, so that is a loss because the dwarf has a higher fight value and there's no ranger or fountain court support giving their fight value bonuses. But only a 4 from the dwarf sees him retreat nice and safely, keeping his formation with his friend. And then we have here a 1-on-1. Or in fact, no, a 1-on-2. We'll put the ranger in with that fight there. Oh, but it does go to the dwarf. There's the Aragorn banner, making it a draw because of the fight value of the ranger. And it goes to good, needing 6s still on that archer. No, the archer is fine and backs away. Dwarves, with their incredible armour, even the archers are defense 6. We then have the 1-on-1 here. Ranger against a warrior. The ranger wins that nice and easy on the 6. Another 6 will get the kill. No, just a 2. He backs away. We then have the King's Champion and a lot of friends against the Charging Knight. We'll let the Charging Knight set the bar on a 6. Good work there from the Charging Knight. First off, in fact, there's no point rolling the banner because he can't get higher than a 6 that gets -1 down to a 5. So we'll roll the 3 friends who do not get a 6 at all. Then it is the King's Champion who only gets a 4 high. He has the banner reroll just to a 1. Definitely not worth 2 points of might. They are all knocked prone and are going to take strikes. That is massive. Putting the banner in that fight was definitely overconfident, and the banner is now going to take the brunt of these strikes. It's double strikes with a lance bonus. They'll be wounding on 5s, all on the banner. Oh dear for Minas Tirith, not a single solitary wound. They're all knocked prone though, which is good for the knight, whose sole purpose there was just to slow them down, and he's definitely done that by knocking them prone. When they stand up, they'll have a half movement turn. So he's done his job, and even better, he survived the process. We'll then come right across to the far left where we have a 1-on-1 here. And the dwarf is going to shield, not least because he doesn't want to get trampled, but also if he wins the fight and pushes the knight back, this will just become neutral because it will have models from both sides. So he's going to shield, he's got the fight value, and he wins it on fight value, which pushes the knight back. And this now goes to be neutral, but he's not in Minas Tirith control. So that one dwarf rather, against 2 knights has held his ground. End of turn 2, and things have gone a little bit worse that turn for the dwarves, but they are still in the fight in the centre. If they can get the jump on Aragorn, they can try and bring him down. They still have the more objectives in their control, so they're still in the lead at this point in time. Minas Tirith are on the back foot and need to start clearing dwarves off objectives. Let's roll for turn 3 priority. Oh, and on the draw, this time it goes to the dwarves. Let's Start of the movement phase, and Ingold has called a heroic move. And so after a lot of consideration, Durin is going to counter, leaving him with just 1 might, but he really, really needs to stop Aragorn from going on his charge-fueled rampage. It's a big gamble, but the losses are starting to snowball now for the dwarves, and he needs to take control. So this roll-off is going to be big. If he loses it and wastes that might, it is not going to be good for the dwarves. Oh, and it goes to Ingold. That is so unlucky for the dwarves. We'll come back after Ingold's heroic move. Brutal heroic move there has seen Minas Tirith enveloping the dwarven force, with Aragorn getting right behind. No one has been able to get onto the objective, but if Aragorn gets a heroic move with his free heroic combat and is able to kill that one dwarf, which is fairly likely without jinxing it, he'll be able to take it. The dwarves do still have priority, so we'll come back once they have moved. End of the movement phase, and the dwarves down here have charged towards the objective, although they have been countercharged by a knight. The King's Champion and his herald have ignored the knight and have come to try and get closer to the back of the Minas Tirith force and try and get into the fray, while 3 have gone after that knight to overwhelm him and secure that objective for good. In terms of forever anyway, not for good, as they are evil, the dwarves. We then have here the dwarf charged 1, keeping in base contact with the objective, and the knight came around. He ignored the natural impulse to trap, as if they trapped him they'd have to back away, whereas this way the dwarf will back away, hopefully if they win, and he will be in contact with the objective and claim it. That's how the board is looking at the end of turn 3 movement. There's no shooting as everything is in combat, so we'll go straight into the combat phase. Start of the combat phase, and Aragorn is of course using his free point of mind to call a heroic combat. Oh dear, he does win on the 5. It's difficult to see with the glare. He'll re-roll for banner, and the dwarf still loses. So Aragorn, these are all double strikes, so we'll roll these twice, needing just 4s, and he's absolutely slaughtered that dwarf. And then Aragorn, instead of going after this objective, is going to leave all of his friends to fight Durin, and he's going for gold. He can run right up onto this objective. So he is just going to run up, and he is just out of 5 from that dwarf there. He's going to try and kill the dwarf, claim the objective, and race back before Durin can wreak havoc with just Ingold there to secure the line, although they do have a lot of numbers. After Aragorn's heroic combat, we'll come back to the mainstay fights on the right hand side, and we'll do these 3 who are going to piercing strike against that one knight. Oh, and the knight has lost to very, very low scoring fight there, but the knight is outfought on a 2 high from the dwarves, but with piercing strike they're now strength 4 wounding on 5s, and he's trapped, and they kill him. That is 1 dead knight. These chaps back away because they've trapped their opponent, and that is 1 less mounted Minas Tirith to taunt the dwarves. We'll come across now to this fight here, and the dwarf is going to piercing strike. He is fighting 2, but he has got the banner. He needs kills. Oh, and it pays off with Aragorn having Foxtrot Osgood. There's no banner for Minas Tirith, and he has won. A 5 will kill the warrior. No, all that risk for no reward. They back away. We then have this fight here. It's another one-on-one, and again, he is going to piercing strike. He wants blood. Oh, but he has lost the fight there. What does his defense go down? Oh, dear me. It goes down to defense 4. He's still only 5s to wound him. Oh, and he survives. Being the high defense 7 to start with is the only thing there that saved his life. We then have a 2-on-1, and they are going to piercing strike. As such, the warrior of Minas Tirith is going to shield. In fact, no, he's going to fight normally. He's going to go brave. He's going to regret it. Ooh, and the dwarves win on fight value. No Aragorn banner. They have won, needing just 5s to kill. That 1 is cocked, and they'll be able to re-roll it anyway. Oh, so, well, it was cocked, so that was why it was re-rolled. Not re-rolled because of the 1. You can re-roll 1s with the army bonus, and it's a 6. They bring down the warrior of Minas Tirith. Starting to get a few kills now. They are doing some work. We'll now come to this fight here. It's a 2-on-1. He's not going to piercing... In fact, no, he is. He's going to piercing strike. And we've got the dice the wrong way around. They've got the banner. Oh, dear. And he's going to need that banner. No. The men have won. What does he go down? By 2. So his defense 5. They are still wounding on 5s. Not enough to get him. He and the banner move back, getting the banner into a more advantageous position, so it's not the end of the world. And then it's going to be this chap against Ingold and a friend. So what does Ingold get? Ingold is enough to draw even without his friend's help. So 1, 2 or 3, it goes to him. 4+ it's Ingold. Oh, and he's beaten Ingold. Ingold, who's already taken a wound. He needs a 5 to wound him. Oh, it's a 4. Ingold backs away, lives to fight another day. We then have Durin. His 3 attacks against the 2. He is burly, so he needs to win this to smash through. He's won. Wounding on 4s. Because there's no shield wall here. Oh, in fact, no, they don't back away because of Resolute Fighter. So, in fact, he would have shield wall. So, it is actually going to be... Oh, what is it going to be? It's going to be 5s. And with a 5 and 2 6s, it's completely irrelevant. Durin carves his way through that warrior of Minas Tirith. Another fight here. It's 1-on-2. Burly, if he wins, he kills, is basically how these guys work. He's lost, but there's the banner. Oh, and it's a win! That is good work for the Hearthguard there. Oh, but a 2, not enough to kill. They back away safely. We then have a 2-on-1. He needs the banner to be a 6 now, this dwarf. Oh, it's still a 5. Poor dwarf. But he still only dies on 6s. So he just backs away. That 5 cannot break through his armour. He is tough as nails. We then have a 3-on-1. Can he win this and cut through? He's lost, but he does have a banner. To a 6. Banners have been unbelievable this game. Normally banners re-roll to a 1, but these have all been 6s. He's won. They are out of 3 from Ingold, so they back away. Doesn't really make much difference because there's no shield wall over here with all these rangers about. He needs 3s on a ranger and 4s on the armoured fellow. He's going to go after the ranger, needing 3s. And a 6. He splits the ranger's skull. That is incredible comeback swing there from the dwarves in the centre. Finally, we come across and we have this warrior here who is going to shield against one knight who didn't charge and one that did. So it's 2 on 3, and on the draw, it goes to the knights. To the dwarf, rather. He pushes them back, they back away so that they can't both be charged together. But that dwarf secures the objective now back into dwarven hands. That is good work from that dwarf. End of turn 3, and it's a big swing turn in favour of the dwarves. Only a handful of dwarves fell, and with Aragorn being very overconfident and going after that back objective, the dwarves have cut through the men of Minas Tirith, inflicting heavy casualties, and have managed to reclaim the objective on the left hand side. That is incredible work from the dwarves. At the end of turn 3, things very knife edge for either side, with the dwarves really starting to pull their way now. We'll go into turn 4 priority. And it goes to the dwarves. With the dwarves having priority yet again, the start of turn 4 sees Ingold calling a heroic move. That brings him down to just 1 might, and Durin is not going to counter. He would benefit from being able to counter, but he doesn't want to spend his last point of might. Then up here, Aragorn is going to call for free, because he wants to be able to charge in there and make sure that he can fight and claim the objective at the same time. End of that heroic move, and everything is tied up, which allows this chap here to get in on that objective. There is still someone who is touching it. He has not been charged, but he's trapped in. So if he stays where he is, the best Minas Tirith can do is just neutralising that objective. As has been the case for a good couple of turns with heroics, these 4 here have been caught in the heroic, but are staying still just to form a shield wall to block off those dwarves and try and stay alive as long as possible for Aragorn, the King of Abandonment, to come back and save them. Speaking of Aragorn, it's his heroic move, and it's incredibly simple. He is just charging in like so. And then we'll come back after the dwarves have won. End of turn 4 movement. The battle lines are non-existent now, and it is just one big scrum. The dwarves have charged in down here onto the knight and are hoping to kill him, and then they can make a break for that objective. The King's Champion has charged into that shield wall along with a friend, while others are skirting round, and this banner is able to affect both of the fights. Crucially, this knight fight here that they really want to win. One warrior has started to come around the side to try and help out here again in the centre, where they are now starting to do some good work. And then here, the warrior could now be in quite a bit of trouble, but he's lasted a long time. He's still on the objective. Minas Tirith have opted to just try and kill him, rather than neutralising that objective and getting picked off one by one by this absolutely lethal dwarf. That is how the movement phase is looking. We'll go straight into combat as there is no shooting. We'll start off right at the top with Aragorn against an archer, and the archer is going to piercing strike because you never know. Oh, and he's actually won. Aragorn there is going to spend a point of might from his store, taking him down to just 1 might to win that fight. That is a very bad result there for Aragorn, who's definitely overreached. He does get the kill, which means he will claim that objective, but at great cost there. The cost of a point of might and
He has really hurt the centre here by taking away his banner effect and his killing power. That is not good there for the King of Men. But we'll continue with the fights. I've got this one here. 2 piercing striking dwarves against a shielding guard of the Fountain Court. The Fountain Court has won. Couldn't quite see with the glare, but he's won and pushes the dwarves back into the fence there. We'll then do this fight here. It's a 2-on-1. That dwarf is... he's going to shield. Now that he's got some heavy support in, he can afford to miss a turn of killing. He loses the fight regardless, and he is too far from the banner. They need 6s, but they don't get it, and he backs away. The next fight is the King's Champion against a warrior with Ranger spear supports, and it goes there on the 6 to the King's Champion. He's strength 5, so they back away, and he is needing 5s to wound. Absolutely slaughters that man there. And then another important fight for the dwarves. It's the knight against 2 piercing striking dwarves. They are out for blood. They win on the draw. Can they kill him? They need 5s to wound. Piercing strike does the work. They kill that knight. Ready now to make a uncontested charge onto the objective. That is good work there for the dwarves. Can Minas Tirith mop up the centre and rescue their hopes? We'll do this 2-on-1 here. That's fairly inconsequential before we get into the big fights. It's a draw. Wow, a draw on all 6s. So a roll off goes to good. Can they get 2 more 6s? Can they put him in the ground? No, not on a 5 and a 1. So he just backs away. The next fight will be... nobody's trapped. So this 3-on-1. The Khazad guard. Ooh, draws the fight. He is not going to bother trying to banner reroll. He's going to take the draw, and it's a 1-2-3 for evil. It was a good call. The dwarf has won, so these men back away, and he's going to take a swing at this chap here, needing 4s, but he doesn't kill, not on the 3. Very close there. Now we've got Durin. That guy's not in the fight. He is contesting the objective. Oh dear. So Durin with his 3 mighty attacks against a stabbing ranger. Oh, and the ranger wins. Durin gets a reroll for the banner, and I believe he gets a reroll for his axe. He doesn't have enough might to win. Not that he would. It is the stabbing ranger. So this chap backs away. That is massive. In fact, no, with Resolute Fighter. Yes. Yep, Durin, I don't know what we're going on about there. So Durin has lost. He backs away. No, he doesn't take a wound, but he didn't kill the ranger, which is big for Minas Tirith. We then have Mr. Resolute Fighter himself, Ingold, and Friend against the Khazad guard. We'll have blue for the Friend. The Khazad guard only on a 3. He's in range of the banner. Just a 2. That is not good for the Khazad guard, but even the strength 4 Ingold still needs 6s. And there is not a 6 in sight. The Khazad guard backs away. Absolutely fine. And that is all of the fighting in the centre, but it's not the end of the fight phase. There's this mammoth fight here. It's 1 charging and 1 non-charging knight against Mr. Shield. Oh, and this time his skills have left him. This is not good, as the charging knight's double strikes are +1 to wound with the lance. Going down on 5s. He's finally dead. They back away because they trapped their opponent, and he is down. That's a blow there to the dwarves, but they have done some good work this turn. That is a very brutal showing there for turn 4. An overview of the board at the end of turn 4. Aragorn has successfully taken the objective at the top, but at great cost. Abandoning the centre, it has all gone wrong, and the dwarves have started to gain some serious momentum in the centre. And here, they are pouring through onto those objectives. As we say, Aragorn has taken the objective at the top. The centre is neutralised, but the dwarves are going for this objective, although Minas Tirith are taking that one. The objectives flying between the two sides. This is going to be a roller coaster of a game as we roll for turn 5 priority. And it goes again to the dwarves. Start of turn 5, and again it is Durin's priority. So Ingold is going to burn his last point of might on a heroic move. Durin is saving that for an inevitable confrontation with Aragorn, where he'll need to strike. So he is not going to counter. And Aragorn, right up at the top, is going to call a heroic march with his 3 point of might. First off though, the heroic move. Ingold's heroic move seizes the initiative once again, and he is able to get his men to surround the dwarves, and crucially to get that warrior there, that Fountain Court guard, onto the objective. This chap is still contesting the objective, but Ingold has him trapped and has a ranger in the fight as well. If they can kill him, then they can take that central objective. Also in the move, this chap has gone back in onto the dwarves, and here this guy has just managed to stay in 6 and charge into the King's Champion, blocking that off and just trying to stop the King's Champion from punching through and joining up with Durin. That is the heroic move. We'll come back after the rest of the movement. End of the movement phase, and the dwarves have come onto this bottom objective and are swarming around this small little blockade, with another dwarf entering the fray to help out the King's Champion. It's fairly safe to say the dwarves have now secured this bottom section and are going to be coming up to contest the centre. Aragorn used his heroic march to get that extra distance and has just come straight down to the centre, where the crucial fighting is going to come down. And then here out on the flank, this knight is taking the objective, and this knight managed to get line of sight onto this Khazad guard and has charged in. That's how we're looking at the end of turn 5 move. There's no shooting, so it's straight to the combats. Start of the combat phase. We'll start off down here with the King's Champion and friend against 2 from Minas Tirith. And, oh, amazingly, the 2 from Minas Tirith, the warrior and the ranger, have won. There is the banner, which is cocked. Oh, and the banner has swung the fight, and Minas Tirith lose that. That was very nearly an embarrassment there for the King's Champion. He is wounding on 5s, and it's 6s on the other dice there for the friend. They've absolutely smashed him to pieces. He goes down, and they've cut through that blockade. We'll then do this fight here. It is the banner, who's gone brave against the ranger, and he's just going to fight normally. Oh, he's lost there. Nothing he can do about that. But the ranger fails to wound him. Then, with no fights down here, we'll come up to this fight here. Again, they are going to piercing strike. And that Fountain Court guard... Oh, how far away is Aragorn? Is he going to have a banner? No, he's still quite a long way off. He is going to shield just for one more turn. It is a draw there, because even normal dwarves are as good as the elite of Minas Tirith. Oh, and it goes again to Minas Tirith. He's actually trapped in the corner. So Minas Tirith back away. We'll then do this fight here. It's a 1-on-1. And the warrior of Minas Tirith is going to fight normally. And in fact, he is going to stab. He needs this kill. Oh, and on the draw, it goes to Minas Tirith. But this banner gets a reroll, but it's only a 2. Minas Tirith have won. That allows him to back away, and he backs just tucking in there, still on the objective. So 6 is re-rolling 1s. He needs to die for Minas Tirith. Just a 2 is absolutely fine. That's unfortunate there, as this is now still going to be contested. Even if this fight here comes off, and we'll do it now, it is Ingold and Friend against Shielding Dwarf. It is a draw. We'll re-roll for the Aragorn banner. No, so it's still a draw. Not entirely sure why we rolled so many dice there for evil. They should have only had 2. It's still a draw, so we'll do the roll-off. And it goes to good. So they are going to be making double strikes because he is trapped. He's trapped against the objective. Oh, in fact, no, he's not trapped because he can get away that way. The banner can move out of the way. So still, he's going to take his hits. Oh, and he dies. He goes down. If that chap hadn't been able to back away onto the objective, they would have done what they needed to do. We then have here a 3-on-1. Although with Dwarven priority, we're going to go for Durin first. Durin to stop that chap being trapped. And again, that ranger is going to stab. He's got the Aragorn banner. Doesn't help him. Durin is wounding on 3s. Kills him nice and quick and clean. We'll then do this 3-on-1. Gather up 3 green. And it goes to Minas Tirith, but there is the banner reroll to a draw. So Minas Tirith will reroll. It's still a draw. So we'll roll off 1, 2, 3. It's evil. And it is. Evil have won. It is still evil to back away because of Resolute Fighter. He backs away and he's going to make strikes. He's going to make strikes on this ranger here because it's only 3s to wound. And he wants to clear off everyone around the objective. Oh, the 6 cuts him clean in half. That is another Minas Tirith warrior down. The ranger there falling. We'll go for this 2-on-1. Oh, wrong way around. We'll just re-roll that. 2-on-1. And it goes on the 6 to the Khazad guard. Re-rolling for Aragorn. Not quite enough. He's going to cut down this chap here. And he dies on the 6. Absolutely massive swinging comeback here for the dwarves. Can they make up for it now? Minas Tirith with 2 on the charge plus 1 fighting Fountain Court against the Khazad guard. They need to start winning fights, but it's not going to be this one. The Khazad wins. Aragorn's inspiring presence is not enough. The Khazad takes his swing at the knight. He only needs 5s to whip him off his horse. And it's a 6. He is dead. And in fact, it's only 4s against the knight. That is massive, massive displays of violence from the dwarves as they cut through Minas Tirith. Unbelievable casualties. And I believe no dead dwarves. In fact, no, possibly 1 from Ingold. That is ridiculous. End of turn 5, and the Dwarven comeback has been massive. They have broken Minas Tirith and have overtaken them for kills. After getting behind at the beginning, they have just absolutely annihilated now that the shield walls have broken down. They are really showing what dwarves can do. Aragorn back in the fight still gives Minas Tirith the chance, but the dwarves are an absolute wrecking ball. These two objectives have just swapped over, with the dwarves claiming that Minas Tirith objective and Minas Tirith claiming that dwarf objective. Objectives wise, it is still all to play for, but as far as killing is concerned, Minas Tirith are going to need to up their game. Let's roll for turn 6 priority. And again, it goes to the dwarves. Aragorn calls a heroic move. He's only got 1 might left, but this is his free, so he'll still be able to strike. And Durin, with just 1 left, he's going to have to save his for a strike. So Aragorn's heroic move is uncontested. Aragorn's heroic move sees him charge into Durin. Everything else has just gone in to tie up as many as possible, to buy Aragorn time. With Aragorn being a hero of legend, he automatically passes his first break test. And Ingold, being an awesome little beast, managed to roll more than high enough to stick around. Now, we'll come back after the rest of the movement phase. End of turn 6 movement, and everything is flooding towards the centre, with the King's Champion charging past those 2 rangers, getting into combat with him, and everything else just ploughing into combat. This dwarf has come around from reserve. He couldn't quite make it into combat, but he is getting ready to join the fray next turn. Everything is tied up. This knight here got ready to charge in, but he failed his courage test and fled the board. The lines are a complete mess now, and it is just going to be one big final scrum in the centre to try and kill the opposing leaders and to take that central objective. There's no shooting, we'll go straight into combat. Combat phase, and of course, Durin and Aragorn are both striking. Aragorn's already used his free for a heroic move, so that is his last point of might from his store. Durin is also using his last to try and strike up and beat Aragorn. And then here, the King's Champion is calling a heroic combat. He's still got all of his might, so he's going to call that, and he's going to try and power forward and rip Ingold down from behind. We'll start off with that heroic combat. He's got 3 attacks plus his friend against a ranger. The ranger knows he's outclassed. He's only on a 1. He's just out of 6-inch banner range for Aragorn. He has lost, and he's been ripped to pieces. They kill him, and already pre-measured, he is in range to attack Ingold. And then this chap is just going to come up and get ready to join the fray next turn. We'll do some of the less important outlier fights first. We'll do this 1-on-1. It goes to the dwarf. He gets to reroll 1s with his army bonus, but the 4 not quite enough, and that guy backs away. We then have this chap here. He's not trapped, but he's still going to shield because those dwarves are piercing striking. And he loses. Aragorn is still just out of range. Goes down on 5s. And he does. He finally gets killed by those 2 vicious, piercing, striking archers there who have been after blood for a long time. We'll then do this fight here. In fact, no, we'll do the Ingold fight first because that will free him up. So Ingold is going to shield. He doesn't have the fight value advantage against the 3 attacks of the King's Champion. So he's shielding. And, oh, he has won there on a 5 high. The banner may just be... Oh, that one is definitely in range. So he's got a banner. Oh, and he wins it on the draw. We'll roll for the Aragorn banner. Oh, and it's a 6. That is impressive there. So Ingold has actually won and pushed the King's Champion back, making him waste that point of might on the heroic combat there. That is big and good work there for Ingold. We now have this 1-on-1. The warrior of Minas Tirith is going to stab. He needs to kill that Khazad-dum to try and take the central objective. Oh, and he's won. Can the Khazad-dum banner it? No. So these are now double strikes against the Khazad-dum. Needing 6s, re-rolling 1s, but that is rubbish and does nothing. And now we have the old problem of loser is trapped, so the winner backs away, but the winner never backs away here because of Ingold's resolute fighter. So we're going to back him off. Not entirely sure if that's correct. If you do know how to do that, please do comment below. The next fight is this. Oh dear. Is this 1-on-1. And the dwarf is going to piercing strike. He's won, but there is the Aragorn banner to a 6. Oh yes, and what does he piercing strike down to? He is now defense 5, so he's getting wounded on 5s. Oh, and it's a 6 anyway, and the dwarf goes down. I think that's the first dwarf to die just to a standard warrior for many, many turns. They are indestructible, these dwarves. The next fight then will be this one here. It's 1 who is getting a shield against 2 Khazad-dum with the Hearthguard, so they're burly, always two-handing. Oh, and they win, but Aragorn banner to a 4 is not enough because the Khazad-dum have the fight value and they rip him in half. He's just been knocked out, but he is fighting that banner. We'll do that banner fight in a moment though. With Dwarven priority, they're going to save that till last because now it is Aragorn against Durin. They're going to both roll for their strikes. Oh, and Durin has the fight value advantage. Durin setting the bar, fluffs it on a 4. He's got the banner reroll to a 4, and he's got his own axe reroll to a 3. He could lose this now to Aragorn, who absolutely bottles it and only gets a 4 as well. Oh, Aragorn. Unbelievable. 4 dice from Aragorn, 5 from Durin, and it's a 4 high. But with the fight value, Durin has won. He's going after Aragorn himself because he's got Horse Lord. He can save that horse anyway. So he is going after the big man himself, wounding on 5s. Oh dear, he gets to reroll 1s for the army bonus. Oh, and it's a wound. That is a wound on Aragorn. He's got Fate, which he saves. So that is 1 Fate off Aragorn. But still a good result there for the dwarves. And then here we have a 1-on-1. It's the banner who is going to shield against the Fountain Court Guard. Oh dear. We'll re-roll for Aragorn. No. Although actually that is cocked. Oh, so it's a draw because those 2 go down, but he can re-roll for his own banner. And he has won. So he pushes him back. And that is the end of the combats. End of another truly brutal turn there, with the dwarves cutting down the few remaining men of Minas Tirith. There are not many warriors left now to protect their king. It is the end of the turn in which Minas Tirith have broken, or are broken, as they broke last turn and now have started taking courage checks. So 1 or 2, the game ends. On a 3, the game continues for at least another turn. So let's roll for priority. And on the draw, it finally goes to Minas Tirith. So without any need to think, The King's Champion calls a heroic move. After a lot of consideration, Aragorn is going to be calling a heroic move. In counter to the King's Champion, he's only got his 3 point of might, as he's out of might in his store, but he's going to call anyway. He's going to rely on the Elven Maid Anduril to see him through any potential draws against Durin. This is going to be a big roll-off, and it goes to Aragorn. That is massive. Aragorn and friends are going to try, possibly one last time, to take this centre. First off, Aragorn's courage test for being broken. He's absolutely fine. And then he's going to do his heroic move. End of the movement phase, and that was a very successful heroic, but also very, very bad at the same time. Everything's been tied up, allowing Ingold to get in onto the objective and charge him at such a way that he will be forced to move off if he loses. But unfortunately, trying to do complex maneuvers and film has meant that two Khazad guard were left unengaged. One went straight into the back of Ingold to mean this ranger now has a lot of pressure to win the fight, and Ingold needs to survive and win because he does not want to back away, and Aragorn is now trapped. It is going to be a very, very close and probably very deciding next combat phase. So combat phase, we'll start off here with the banner and 2 all piercing striking against the shielding chap there. Oh, and shielding wins unless the banner... Oh, the banner has done it there. It's a roll off. And it goes to good. So these all back away. That is good news for Minas Tirith in the first fight there. Next we'll do this one here. It's 2-on-1. The warrior of Minas Tirith is going to shield, and the 2 dwarves are piercing striking. But they lose. They do have a banner, and still lose. The dwarves push back, although they are going, where possible, towards the objective. We then have the now out of might, because a King's Champion, as amazing as they are only 2 might heroes. Does seem a bit strange. But he is now out of might, so he can't heroic combat or anything, but he can mutilate with his strength 5 3 attack. So he's going after that shielding warrior of Minas Tirith, and he has bottled it. Only a 2 height. He has won because it's Snake Eyes from the warrior of Minas Tirith, but there is a banner for Minas Tirith. Aragorn's inspiring presence gets him a 5. So now the more traditional banner of the dwarves doesn't do it. The King's Champion backs away. Shielding for their lives, Minas Tirith have started to staunch the blood flow. Will these dwarves pick open the wound? 3 piercing striking dwarves. Although actually piercing striking against defense 7 makes no difference, but they'll do it anyway because he is going to shield. And they win unless Aragorn banner, which is, he's moved to potentially not out of range anymore. No, he's in now. He can banner. Needs a 6, but he doesn't get it anyway. So they are wounding on 6s, but they get to re-roll because he's trapped. Nothing on the first set. Nothing on the second. 6 attacks, but unable to break through. That is a still alive stalwart defender there, the Fountain Court. And now a big, big fight here. This has to come off in Minas Tirith's favour for them to be able to claim a victory at this stage, being broken with the dwarves unbroken. So here it's a 1-on-1. Oh, and it goes to Minas Tirith, but only a 2 high. The dwarf has a banner, which gets him a 4. So now it's Minas Tirith's banner. To a 4. It's a 50-50 roll-off. It is going to be a close one. And it goes to the dwarf. Minas Tirith's hopes are dashed. Along with that chap's brains all over the ground. Strength 4 on defense 4 is 4s, and burly 2-handing takes it down to 3s. We now have Ingold, who is trapped, shielding against this Khazad. In fact, no, he's going to go for it. He's going to kill this Khazad. Oh, no, he's not. He's lost. He's got the Aragorn banner. He's lost. Oh, that was a huge mistake. Now, because he's trapped, this chap backs away. Oh, in fact, though, because of Resolute Fighter, that guy had to back away. So it is still possible if Ingold doesn't die. He definitely should have shielded. Oh, this is not good because he's already taken a wound. He's got 1 wound, 1 fate. Wounding on 5, double because he was trapped. Oh, he's taken a wound. Fate on Ingold. This is big. And he's dead. Ingold should have shielded, but went too brave and is now dead. That is a big, big loss there for Minas Tirith. We then have here a 1-on-1. The Khazad guard is going to open him up like a can opener. He wins, but Aragorn banner, it's a draw. Khazad guard is just going to allow that to be the 1, 2, 3 for evil roll off, and it pays off. Now wounding on 5s, he doesn't kill, so he backs away. And now it is the Aragorn versus Durin and co. This is going to be big. We'll let Aragorn set the bar. He needs a 6 or he is royally screwed here. Oh, he gets the 6. And then what do Durin's folk get? Durin himself gets the 6 as well. Both heroes there on a 6. It is a roll-off. Because of his Elven-made weapon, he gets a bit of an advantage, so it's only a 1 or 2 to evil. And a 3+ to good. Who's it going to go to? Oh, it's a 6. Absolutely no doubt there for Aragorn. He has won. So he pushes his foe back and knocks them prone. And he is going to put everything he's got into Durin because he wounds on 4s. He is going after him here. This is his first lot of dice. He puts in 3 wounds. In second, he has done 4 wounds. That is absolutely massive. Now, Durin does have effectively a fury save. So on a 6+, those wounds are saved. He doesn't save any. He is dead because 4 wounds. He's only got 1 fate. He is down. He needed to save 1 with his version of a fury save, but it didn't come off. Aragorn has somehow managed to kill Durin, but things looking very, very dicey for Gondor. End of the turn, and it is absolute carnage. Durin has gone down, but there are very, very few warriors of Minas Tirith left. This is going to be a very close fought game. The objectives are completely even, and in fact, now that Durin has died, but Minas Tirith are broken, it is fully even. So if the game ends now, it will be a draw, but it continues on the 3. Let's roll for next turn priority. It goes to the dwarves. So Aragorn calls a heroic combat with his 3 point of might. Aragorn's courage is absolutely fine. And now he's going to do his best to set it up so that he can get someone onto that objective and block everything else. Aragorn's heroic move has finished, and a miracle has taken place in that everything that could possibly get to this chap here has been tied up. This guy, because he's been knocked prone, can't reach him, and these two, by the time they've wormed their way around, because they're dwarves with a 5-inch move, cannot quite reach, as is the case for these. So he is, all things being well, going to be able to take that objective, which is massive for Minas Tirith. But these dwarves are now going to move in and start killing everything in their path. So if the game continues much longer, Minas Tirith will be dragged down. End of dwarven movement, and they have surrounded everything. Everything is going to be cut down except for this guy who's still on the objective uncontested, but the guy that stood up has touched the objective. Often in the carnage of battle, it's easy to forget that actually how rules work, and he just has to touch the objective to contest it. So all those carefully laid plans from Aragorn, and the objective still will not be in Minas Tirith's hands. Aragorn is going to have to just one-man army his way through all of these dwarves if he's going to try and claim victory. It is a long, tall order there for Minas Tirith to get victory. Let's go into the combat phase and see what happens. First off, we have this fight here. It's 4 piercing strikers against a shielding fountain court. Can he survive? It's unlikely, but he does have the banner. No. So now 8 strikes because he's trapped. He's taking double strikes. That's 8, needing 6s. He is dead. That's 1 less to hold the objective in the centre for Minas Tirith, and 4 more to try and claim it. Next off, we'll do here, it's the King's Champion and 2 friends, one of whom is a banner, against the shielding warrior of Minas Tirith. We'll just do the King's Champion first. He wins on the 6. Can he kill? These are double because the guy's trapped. Absolutely annihilates him. So they back away, moving towards the objective in the centre. That's where all of this fighting is revolving around now, as we have this 3-on-1. Minas Tirith's shield wall is non-existent and they are getting surrounded and butchered. Oh, on the 6 the dwarves have won. There's nothing Minas Tirith can do about that on fight value. So here, in fact, the Khazad guard will be wounding on 5s because he's barely 2-hand, and he gets him there. It is all over for Minas Tirith. But at the moment, if it ends, it will be a draw. So they can still eke out, and it's still anyone's game. If the dwarves keep going, they could get a win, but at the moment it will be a draw. So a 1-1 there. Again, it goes to the dwarf, but there is the Aragorn banner. Doesn't make a difference. Needing 5s. He backs away. And then it is Aragorn himself charging into the prone banner. And that chap there, only a 5 high. So the Khazad could win it. On a 2 banner. No. So he's lost. On the Khazad, with the first strikes, he's not dead. Second strikes, not dead. Third strike, he is dead. And then the remaining 2 strikes on the banner, 2 wounds. He has already spent his fate. That is the spiky one, rather than the one with the bird top. So that is both of them dead. Aragorn starting to lose his strength there. He is very, very tired from this long, drawn-out battle. Does the game end? No, not on the 5. The game continues for another turn. We'll roll priority now. And again, it is the dwarves. That is not good for Minas Tirith. So Aragorn will call a heroic move. Aragorn's courage. Oh, nearly fails him. He is courage 6, so he's fine. And he goes into those 2. He's going to try and cut through. And then here, These guys are just going to castle up on the objective. And now it is the dwarves' move, and we'll see where they go. End of unknown turn number, possibly as many as 10. The dwarves have just fully surrounded those two remaining Fountain Court Guard, while Aragorn has been trapped by that guy at the back and is now fighting for his life. If either of those two die, then the objective, in fact if both of them die rather, the objective in the centre will go to the dwarves and they will win. This is going to be a very, very close fought battle. So this chap is going to shield. It's 3 Hearthguard. Oh, who are winning? There is the reroll for Aragorn. Now there's the reroll for the dwarf. Can they do it? Yes. Minas Tirith push them back, and it is still going to be contested. Now it is King's Champion and 2 friends against, again, shielding Fountain Court. This time, there's nothing the Fountain Court can do there. The superior fight of the King's Champion has won. He's trapped, so the dwarves back away. And the King's Champion makes his massive 6 strikes and absolutely rips him to pieces. In fact, no, he wasn't trapped. Oh, that's not good. He wasn't trapped at all. Oh, yes, he was. Dear me, ignore me, ignore me. There we go. He is down, but the objective is contested by both. We then have Aragorn on the charge against 3. They're all piercing striking, although with the 6 he has won. He's wounding them on 4s. So the first chap, not dead. But now he is. And then the next one, dead. And then the last one, ooh, survives. So the last one, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Say it was the guy with a shield. He cannot be killed on 3s regardless, even if his piercing strike went down by D3. So the archers are dead, but that chap there is alive. Should have done the piercing strike rolls, because that could have gone slightly different, but at this stage it's fairly irrelevant. Does the game end? No, it doesn't. It goes on for another turn. Priority. Oh, and this time it is Minas Tirith priority. That is what Aragorn needed. We'll roll his courage. He passes, and he's going straight in there. Rolling round. He's able... Oh, actually, that's quite good. He's able to touch everything he wanted. He's in on the hero, on the dwarf, and the objective. And then this chap here is going to... he is going to stay on the objective and not quite blocking Aragorn in. And that is that. We'll come back after the dwarves have piled in. End of the dwarf move, and everything has piled in. They are looking to get kills and take the objective. And still playing that longer game, now that Minas Tirith haven't tied everything up. This dwarf is going after that objective, and this one is going up there. They are almost guaranteed a win now if the game keeps playing out. Aragorn is going to have to kill very, very quick to keep any semblance of a victory for Minas Tirith. We'll start off then in the combat phase with this one here. There's just 2 Khazad against the shielding Fountain Courts. Oh, it's not good. Fountain Court loses, but he banners to the 6. Will the Khazad Guard banner as well? No, and they back away. That is absolutely huge there. That is very good work. Now it could be the end of Aragorn. We'll let the dwarves set the bar. They have fight value 6, the same as Aragorn. So the King's Champion gets a 6, no problem. No need for his mates to roll. who are all piercing striking, although actually D7 on Aragorn doesn't make a difference. Aragorn needs the 6 or he could die. Aragorn has bottled it. Not good at all there for Aragorn. That could be disastrous. So how many in the fight? 1, 2, 3, 4 guys with double strikes needing 6s. That's 1 wound. 1 wound. And then it is 6 attacks from the King's Champion needing 5. So 1 wound already. And then, oh, just 2. Okay. Aragorn, he's got 2 fates, so he might not even take a wound. He saves both. Aragorn, absolute monster, has saved those wounds, but he is now out of fate. Does the game end? No, the game continues on a 5. And priority, oh dear, priority goes to evil. So Aragorn, would he rather strike or would he rather heroic move to get some knockdowns? He is going to heroic move. And he's going to go in here. So he's still on that objective, trying to hold it, keep it neutral. And then this chap here is going... In fact, because of control zones, he can't get through onto him. So he's just going to stay and see what the dwarves do. End of the move phase, and Aragorn has been piled on by dwarves. The remaining Fountain Court has had the same fate. Up here, the Khazad wasn't quite in range of getting the objective, but here, this objective is going to be claimed at the end, and the tide is going to turn very much the colour of dwarf. So now it is the fight phase, and we'll do this one here. It's 4 on a shielding Fountain Court. Can he survive again? Oh, it's looking positive. He's going to re-roll with Aragorn's banner. It's still a draw. So then the dwarves... No, the dwarves don't win it on the banner. So it's a 1, 2, 3 to evil. Oh, this time they win. They back off because they trapped their opponents. But now the Khazad Guard with double strikes, wounding on 5s. Kill the Fountain Court. It's now all down to Aragorn. Aragorn sets the bar on a 5. The 2 dwarves only get a 4 high, and then the King's Champion gets the 6. Aragorn should not have called the heroic move. He should have saved it for winning the fight. He has lost. He is not quite trapped. Oh, actually, because of the objective, I believe he actually is trapped. Not good. So the 2 normal guys put a wound on him. That is his first wound. No fate left. 2 5s from the King's Champion will kill him. Oh, and that is a dead Aragorn. Aragorn there is killed, and it is a dwarven victory by default because there are no warriors of Minas Tirith left. This objective has been claimed as well, and that is a massive, massive victory for the dwarves. And with that, it is the end of the game. Minas Tirith wiped off the face of the earth, so the dwarves automatically win. Although with 4 objectives to 1, they'd won anyway. They have these 2. They took that in the last gasp and that in the last gasp as well. With Aragorn and the Fountain Court dying, this bannerman takes that objective. Minas Tirith still just holding the one at the top because of the short, stubby legs of the dwarves. So with 8 points from objectives, 1 for killing the enemy leader and 1 for breaking the enemy, the dwarves have 10 victory points. Minas Tirith still have 1 objective at the top. They killed the enemy leader and finally in the last moments broke the dwarves. So they get 4 victory points. So it is a 10-4 victory to the dwarves.
And so, with the end of the game, MVPs, it's got to be Aragorn, who really did his best to carve through the dwarven lines. He was a monster, but he overreached. And when he left his warriors, they crumbled. And his return was too little, too late. And then for the dwarves, it's got to be the Khazad-dum. With the Hearthguard upgrade making them burly, they are unbelievably lethal. Killing Ingold, killing everything they touched, really. If they won a fight, they killed. They were amazing. They were very, very solid and did a lot of the work. I hope you enjoyed this game. It was really, really close and really good fun to play. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.